Hi, welcome into A-J Media's Red Raiders post-game show. I'm Mike Graham, joined by sports editor Carlos Silva, who just came in after turning on the broadcast.
You gotta do it all, right?
That's right.
And unfortunately, we are here after a 47-27 loss. Is that correct? 47-27?
47-27.
And of course, we're here to take your comments and questions for about the next 10 to 15 minutes as we do this. We will be doing this, following every Texas Tech football game this season. Don Williams and Brad Thompson, our photographer, are in Houston. Of course, you'll get all that information, whether that be a notebook, commentary, advance, gamer, and everything from Don Williams in the Sunday edition of the Lubbock Avalanche-Journal. And of course, you'll get the photos from Brad Thompson as well. But until then, Mike, it'll be me and you talking about a very tough loss, one where 47 points, I know with everything that's been talked about with this defense, that's certainly something you weren't expecting to see them is almost give up 50.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that this team was advertised as its strength was going to be its defense, and game one, guess what? Your trusty old friend offense was definitely the more standout side of the ball. And obviously, game plan kind of went out the window very early in the game when McLean Carter got injured, got rolled up. We don't know how severe or not severe that injury is, but it did not look good. But I walked away impressed with Alan Bowman as a true freshman. He looked like any true freshman out there in a new football environment where his passes are kind of going 60 degrees at first, and he just got more confident, started going down the field later in the game, and really good stat line at the end for what he is. He went 29 for 49, 273 yards, and a touchdown, and complimented the run game to what he could do.
It's funny when you mentioned that stats, and I didn't realize he almost threw the ball 50 times, considering as much as they ran the ball with success. I know you mentioned some of the offense. I thought DeLeon Ward was spectacular in his return to the field. 90 yards, 2 touchdowns, I believe on 16 carries, but overall, I'm not sure what the stats are just off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure they average about 5.2 yards a carry with those running backs. If I'm off, please let me know, but when you do something like that, you're putting yourself in a good position, at least from the yardstick point, because you're putting yourself in second and manageable. You can either run the ball again, you can pass the ball, rather than you're trying to figure out, well, we're going to have to pass again, we're going to have to pass again. I thought it was a much more balanced offense and something that you're not necessarily used to seeing from a Texas Tech offense.
Yeah, I really liked DeLeon Ward, and he seemed to get stronger as the game went longer. Problem for him, to me, it seemed like it was an Ole Miss injury or a false start that would kind of derail his momentum, because there were points where, he was reeling off 5-yard gain after 5-yard gain, especially in the third quarter, especially when the game was still a game. But obviously, it is what it is. This is not a good first look for this program.
Not a good first look, and of course, if you have any comments or questions, you can let us know. Of course, we'll reset this. This is the post-game chat with A-J Media. I'm Carlos Silva, the sports editor for the Lubbock Avalanche-Journal. Of course, that's Mike Graham, our sports writer. We were able to watch the Texas Tech football game here, just like everyone else did.
Home sweet home.
Yeah, got some updates from Lubbock. Of course, for those that aren't aware, we were here covering football in high school, so you can get all that information from Mike on LoneStarVarsity.com, and he'll be getting all that stuff, stats and kind of his column and everything else. But for now, it's going to be about the guys that go from high school to college, and some of those guys, like Alan Bowman, showed up very well, was able to kind of have a balanced offense, had a few maybe miscues, maybe some balls that I thought maybe he kind of tried to thread the needle with, but I thought overall he played a very composed game where he wasn't trying to force anything. If he had to run to the side, he would throw the ball away. So it was just really smart play. I know everyone will look at the 50, or at least I'll look at the 49 throws, but the most important stat, at least when Cliff Kingsbury's looking at it, 0 interceptions.
Yeah, no doubt. I was really impressed with his ability to get away from the pressure and throw out of bounds, as well as just how much confidence he gained through the game, even though things were really stacking up against him. This is an 18-year-old kid who's been on campus for, 8 months?
Well, here's the important thing. He was here as an early enrollee, so I don't even know if he's in this position if he doesn't get here that early. Maybe work with the strength and conditioning program, certainly work with Cliff Kingsbury and that staff just to kind of get the calls. I know his spread offense that he ran at Grapevine was a little bit similar. Obviously, there's different names and words for things, but maybe that was able to help him learn the playbook a little bit quicker. But certainly, you have to like the way that he played. The one, at least, telling play for me was that, I can't remember what down it was, but he threw a touchdown to JD on high, fade route, took the pressure, took the shot, and he still made a beautiful ball. And I think that is the arm talent that Cliff Kingsbury and his staff saw.
He did. I think he was a really good pickup for the program.
late pickup too.
Right, and I think he is what he is right now, a true freshman, so it's going to be touch and go for a while.
Yeah.
But I feel like a game against Lamar next week, assuming McClain can't come back, assuming that they decide they're not going to change plans and go with Jet.
Mm-hmm.
If he has a week where he understands that he's the guy from now on, and then he gets 60, 70 reps against Lamar, and I think that Tech's obviously favored to beat any FCS opponent that they face. It's a really good situation for him heading into a suddenly very important game the next week against Houston.
Absolutely. And do we have any comments from anyone? Of course, as you mentioned, comments below. If you have any questions or you want to say anything, we'll certainly answer them as best as we can.
Yeah.
I know it's a little bit tougher after a loss. Everyone's kind of upset, but maybe we can kind of get you through that as we do the losing type of.
Sure. We have two questions on here. One is, does Cliff see Halloween? And this game obviously is not good for job security, but it's only one game. I'm a big proponent of keeping your coach no matter what for the rest of the season, because when you let them go mid-season, you're just going to demoralize the team that much more. All of a sudden, your team's not as organized. You're throwing a guy in interim, and that's tough. And then all the staff is scrambling for jobs. Nothing good can come out of firing your football coach in the middle of the season, unless it's some sort of off-the-field issue. Second question, is Carter out for the season? We haven't seen anything one way or the other, but I'll just tell you from personal experience that did not look good.
No, it did not. And of course, Don Williams is there in Houston. He'll get the update. I'm sure we'll get that on Twitter, and we'll get that here on the Facebook as well. We'll update that. I know that first question when someone asked if he's going to see Halloween, I thought I took that literal. He probably will see Halloween. Whether it'll be as a coach at Texas Tech is probably the question that everyone wants to know.
Well, he's got a good defense right now. If Bowman's going to be the guy, a true freshman quarterback, you can show progress with him. You can say we're still headed in the right direction. Or alternatively, if this is going to be it for him, he can show that he made progress with the quarterback to pick up his next job.
And it's funny you mentioned progress, because that's the word that Kirby Hocutt, the athletic director of Texas Tech, has said that he wants to see. That's what he was able to see last year when Texas Tech did beat Texas at Austin. Of course, McClain Carter started that game, wasn't able to finish the game because Nick Shimon came in and, of course, won that game. But just a tough deal for McClain Carter. Your heart goes out to him, because obviously you don't know if this could be the last for him. This was certainly his last shot. He waited his time, worked his butt off to get to this position, and unfortunately it kind of ends like that. But
we were talking about that off camera, because I had known him when he was coming through high school, and he was having a really good season. Eventually, a 16-0 state champion at Gilmer High School, and Jarrett Stidham decommitted, and he was just kind of like, oh, well, maybe there's a spot for me now. I've had this really good year, and it didn't work out. So he went to Incarnate Word, and then he learned very quickly that he was better than Incarnate Word. So he transfers to Tyler Junior College, ultimately ends up at Tech, which is where I think he really wanted to be in the first place. Gets 2 starts, never gets to finish a game, and now might be dealing with a serious injury. And you think, just with the reps that Bowman is going to get, he might slip by a spot. And then where is McClain Carter left?
Of course, we're talking a little bit about the quarterbacks. If you have any comments, Mike is on the computer. We'll be here for about 10 to 15 minutes to take the comments or questions. We'll answer them as best as we can, but for sure, like I said, Don Williams and Brad Collison are in Houston. They'll be getting all the answers and asking questions, of Cliff Kingsbury and whoever else is made available from the players following the 47-27 loss to Ole Miss to start the year. And I know it's the weirdest thing about college football. Week to week, sky is falling. You lost a game. Next week, they're going to get back to 500, I would think, because you're playing a Lamar team that probably isn't up to par in terms of talent, but I think the other thing, too, is you're at home. You want to be geared up. You want to be juiced up. I think they certainly will. But just kind of looking at this game, I think the one thing that you can look at, not necessarily from a tape perspective, but just if you're a fan, that defense really needs to fix itself. And I think the one thing, and you kind of mentioned it before, we were talking out there, is the secondary. I mean, that thing was already hurting going into it with Deshaun Johnson out with a shoulder injury. Of course, you want to make sure he's healthy, so certainly that's a good thing that they didn't have to play him because of the depth. But then you lose a Desmond Smith early on in that game with the targeting.
That's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Because right after that, Douglas Coleman came in for him. They went right after him, and unfortunately, he wasn't able to make some plays. Certainly, there were some spectacular plays by the Ole Miss wide receivers, because they are NFL caliber talent, as the whole national broadcast mentioned. But it's just one of those small things that when you get those chunk plays, sometimes the smallest little detail, whether it's you're caught on your heel like a John Bonnie on a what looked like a modest gain by Scotty Phillips, and then turns into a big touchdown.
Yeah, the defense was unimpressive to say the least, and that's not a good sign when people kind of embrace that this defense was going to be pretty good. Ole Miss puts up 546 yards, 47 points. Got to talk about Jordan Town a little bit. I really liked him. 22 for 32, 2 touchdowns, 336 yards. DeMarcus Lodge is someone that everyone knew coming out of high school from Cedar Hill. Yeah, 6 catches, 96 yards, no touchdowns. A.J. Brown, 93 yards on receptions, a touchdown. There were some really good things about that Ole Miss team. So, you got to feel like, you played a good team, and you know what you need to work on. You have Lamar to figure it out, and then to a lesser degree Houston. But once again, I think that is a very important game all of a sudden.
And I think that's the one thing that you can kind of do to kind of temper. I know it's tough for a fan to kind of do that, but temper some of these emotions that you have right now. It's not like you're playing a scrub. I know I kind of mentioned it before, but first time Texas Tech has lost its regular season opener since 2002. The prior several years, you're probably looking at a team like you're playing a Lamar, as you joked before, a generic team with a generic logo on there. You're playing an Ole Miss, a known team, so a known commodity, and you played them pretty tough. I want to say maybe late into the third quarter. I think it was a 10-point deficit they had.
They kept on. Yeah, it seemed like it was always.
You forced a turnover with Eli Howard. I mean, they kept it close, and not only that, but you kept it close with a true freshman quarterback that didn't know he was going to play, and then of course a defense that was already down to Sean Johnson, but then Desmond Smith, patchwork defense, if you will. But I think there's a lot of positives to take from it, but of course everyone's going to look at the loss.
Yeah, no doubt, and I do think that adding Deshaun Johnson back into the mix when he gets healthy, it's going to be huge. A good safety can mask a lot of other defensive problems for you, and he's one of the best, maybe not only in the Big 12, but maybe nationally. I mean, he's really evolved into a high-level talent.
So let's kind of reset. We'll have 2 more topics before we call this off. Are there any comments? Of course, you can send all your comments or questions under us right here, and we'll try to answer them, and of course help you out. This is the post-game chat with A.J. Media. I'm Carlos Silva, the sports editor from the Lubbock A-J. This is Mike Grammer, sports writer. We're here in Lubbock because we have to cover some high school football. Don Williams and Brad Tollison, our photographer in Houston, to get all that information, of course, get it to you, either in paper form in the Sunday edition of the Lubbock A-J or online at LubbockOnline.com and RedRaiders.com. So there we go.
Yeah, not really. Just frustration with David Gibbs.
Clearly.
Yeah, and you can't really blame anyone for that. This was not a good defensive performance, and once again, when you embrace, you always have to embrace something in a team identity, but now they have to kind of wear it.
Well, the other thing too is when you kind of have this things that change, all these other kind of small little mantras, it is so tough to kind of reinvigorate a fan base after they see almost 50 points. But the one thing that you can take away, like I said, they were playing solid. They just couldn't make those big-time plays. I know early on, I can't remember what quarter it was. I want to say it was the first or second quarter, where the defense actually got a big stop, and then they were called for a penalty, and then that, of course, continues the Ole Miss drive. Where I
think they got a touchdown on that.
Yeah, they got a touchdown on that drive.
Yeah, officiating at times, I don't remember the specifics of that, but at times it just seemed like they were hit and miss with pass interference because that was a Conference USA crew.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't know Conference USA because UTEP plays there, of course. North Texas plays there, where Eli Howard transferred from and came to Texas Tech. He got a huge fumble recovery.
Yeah.
I want to say that was when there was a 10-point.
That was huge.
Yeah, you thought there was going to be a momentum turn, but again, when you have a true freshman quarterback, the offense is going to struggle a little bit. That was a time that struggled, and it was an unfortunate time for Texas Tech. And then, of course, things just kind of piled on. Texas Tech tried to go for it. I want to say, was it 2 times in the fourth quarter? Because I know there was one. I want to say it was maybe that same drive. That might have been at the end of the third, maybe start of the fourth. Forced a turnover. They tried to go get that big home run play with T.J. Vasher. It looked like there was a little bit of tug and pull on the back of his jersey. That wasn't called. Ole Miss goes, scores on that next one, and then of course that kind of I don't think that was a dagger, but that certainly took away any error that Texas Tech had from that big turnover.
Yeah, completely agree with you. I've seen a lot of games this week that have been decided on 4th down
and special teams too.
Yeah, exactly, and giving up a 97-yard punt return. Just the way they started off their first offensive drive, getting pinned at the 10 and having Carter take them 90 yards with Vasher's awesome one-handed catch. gaps in special teams as well early. Seemed like they got it corrected later on in the game, and obviously the field goal kicking was good today.
Well, that's the thing. Clayton Hatfield is now healthy. You kind of see what happens when you have a healthy kicker. You can keep getting points rather than not coming away with anything when you get inside the 30-yard line and all that. I think that's a positive. I think the other thing that people have to remember too is this is the first game. You're going to have some gaps, as you kind of mentioned. I like the fact that you use gaps because you fix those in that second week. And usually, any coach I've spoken to, whether it's college level, high school level, they always say that second week is where you see what your team really looks like because you're going to correct things. You're going to make sure that guys don't have bad habits going into that second week. And I really feel like, I mean, it probably won't help anyone because they're going to see Lamar on the schedule. They're going to think, well, they should beat them. Just look at the technical things that they do compared to this, from this week to next week, and I think you're going to see a lot better play from the secondary.
Yeah, I think that's definitely feasible, and it's probably going to go largely unnoticed in the Lamar game. But yeah, that Houston game all of a sudden becomes very important for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, yeah, you cannot afford to lose that football game no matter what.
And again, everyone always talks about this. Is it a must-win game?
I think it is.
It may have turned into one, but I think once you get that momentum with Lamar, I think it turns more into you don't want to allow Ed Oliver and kind of all the Heisman talk with him kind of just take away all the airwaves, so to speak. You want to make sure that, hey, everyone knows that we're here too, and I think that's what Texas Tech wants to do with the big performance against Lamar. But up until then, everyone's going to remember the 47-27 loss today to Ole Miss. Any comments or questions? If not, we're going to call it a day.
Chris Williams says, I think they played hard and we just had too many mistakes.
I agree with that.
But I think that it was a good team, so we'll see when Big 12 play comes around. And you know what?
Rational fan. I like that. Rational fan.
Ole Miss really surprised me because historically, you know, they've always been kind of a power eye, we're going to run the ball down your throat kind of team. And they looked a lot like a Big 12 team.
Well, here's the interesting thing, too, because they're still kind of suffering some of the after effects of off-the-field stuff. So, I mean, kind of thought, okay, you maybe get a vulnerable Ole Miss. They still have talent. They have good players. They have good coaches, and they certainly showed that today. And once again, appreciate the comment from Chris Williams, a rational fan. I know there's going to be probably a lot worse when we check Twitter today, but fortunately, we're here on Facebook. Unless we got anything else, I say we call it a day, Mike. My voice is about to go out.
I think we're good.
Awesome. Well, once again, this has been another post-game chat with the Lubbock Avalanche-Journal. I'm Carlos Silva, the sports editor from the Lubbock Avalanche-Journal. Mike Graham, our sports writer. We'll be doing these all season. Geez.
All season.
That's the reason it's live, right?
Half from the press box and half from this very nice board.
Absolutely, and hopefully Mike will be able to do that. Of course, he's doing our high school stuff. You can check all that at LoneStarVarsity.com and LubbockOnline.com. And since we're done with this video, that means I got to awkwardly go and turn it off. Appreciate y'all watching. We'll see you next week.